Hey everybody, my name is Dennis Mosley and I'm a grateful alumni of the Kanawha Valley Fellowship Home. I started drinking alcoholically when I was 18 years old. Got heavily into drugs and alcohol then. It was my first semester of college. I just went to the local community college because I was afraid to move away. I could have got a scholarship pretty much anywhere on my academics, but I got one at Surrey Community and decided to stay home and go there so I could be around my family. The first semester there, I got into doing everything that I said that I would never do. And my journey downward happened pretty quick. By the time I was 22, it had gotten so bad that I asked for help for the first time. I was young then, and I didn't think that I had a problem where I was complacent and I thought I could fix it myself. It's the way that I was raised, is that as a man, I don't ask for help. I should be able to get through anything myself. I was running around with motorcycle gangs by the time I was 22. I went from being the guy that was most dependable, graduating from high school at the top of my class, to a guy that was hanging out with in awful bars around, again, riding a motorcycle and doing things that I would have never imagined myself doing. Of course, again, I was complacent. I didn't think I had a problem, so I continued on. And for the next 11 years, it just continued to get worse and worse. The progression of the disease or the malady of alcoholism and drug addiction, it played a toll on my life in every regard. I lost who I was. I lost my way, and I didn't know what I was living for anymore. I was living just to stay high, and I did that for 16 years total by the time it was all said and done. By the time I turned 25 and decided I was going to get married, that my wife was going to be the one to fix me. And that didn't work out too well. 5 years later, of course, I got a divorce. But I had a little girl in that relationship. And the one thing that I always wanted to be in my life was a good father. And I wasn't able to do that anymore. I wasn't around her at all. My parents helped raise her. Her mother, of course, raised her. And I was in the picture, but I wasn't a major part of her life. I was just kind of around every once in a while. So fast forward that to my early 30s, and it just, I couldn't work anymore. I'd lost everything in my life that I cherished. I was unemployable, I was a mess, and I didn't see any kind of way out. The pervasive thought in my mind at that time was that if I just wasn't here anymore, that my mom wouldn't have to worry about me anymore because she would know where I was at. My daughter wouldn't have to have the shame of me being her father because I wouldn't be here anymore, and that I wouldn't have to put up with my life because, of course, it would be over. And life at that time had gotten hard. I lived at the bottom for several years of my life. But eventually, I'd had enough. It was getting close to the end of my run. Had a lot of different things going on. Pretty sure I was under investigation, and it scared me, the thought of having to go away to jail or prison, and a lot of the other consequences that I was having to face at the time. So I asked for help, and I went to a place, again, in the local treatment center back home. Stayed there for 28 days, and that's where I started to learn the truth about who I was and what my problem was. And that treatment center had knowledge of the Kanawha Valley Fellowship Home, and I remember my counselor at the time was a guy named Ben. He called me in his office. I'd been there about 2 weeks, and he said, "Are you willing to go to any length?" And I really didn't know what he was talking about, but I agreed to it. And he's like, well, he said, "I'd like for you to move to the Kanawha Valley Fellowship Home up in Charleston, West Virginia." I was like, man, that's crazy. I'd be moving to West Virginia. But anyway, I agreed to it, and I filled out the application. And it went into review, and I was accepted to move up there, so I did that. And man, that's when things really started getting a lot better. I moved in July of 2010. Have a sobriety date of July 9th, 2010. And from there, that's where life really took over. I had so some of the requirements there at the house were that I go to 12-step meetings, go to an outside counselor that the house provided, and that I make my bed every morning, and I follow the rules, and I do what I'm supposed to do to be able to recreate my life. And I'm proud to say that we were able to do that. And I was that guy that needed help, and it was really hard for me to accept that. But once I accepted it, and I did move into the fellowship home, I started learning how to live again. It says in one of our books that we'll be able to recreate our lives. And the fellowship home gave me a safe place in which to do that. I had a place that I would have a home-cooked meal 4 days a week. I learned to socialize through sitting down at the dinner table with other men. It was pretty interesting, but nonetheless, I learned how to follow rules, and I learned how to be a human being again, which is something I had completely lost. I had a guy that the staff there, one of the requirements was that I get a job working 35 hours a week. I hadn't had a job for years. I didn't even know how to get up to go to work. I was really a lost soul. So I learned how to get all these life skills again, and to move forward in my life. So I was there about 6 months, and I'd worked through the 12 steps, and I was looking forward. I had a vision for what I wanted my life to be, and I started looking forward at what I needed to do with my life. So I had a high school diploma, but I didn't have any college. I had some college, but no degree. And I approached the staff there at the fellowship home and asked them if they'd be willing to allow me to go back to college, and they helped me fulfill my dream of going back. When I was able to do that, I still had to make 5 meetings a week. I still had to follow the rules, of course, in the house. But they allowed me to go back to college, and I'm proud to say that because of that support, I was able to graduate cum laude from Bridge Valley. Then looking forward from there, since I've come to the fellowship home, I was able to go to West Virginia State and finish my bachelor's degree and graduated with a 3.89 from there as well. And today, what it's like, as I sit here and I really look at everything that I've been given since I've been given there, since I went to the fellowship home and graduated, and I stay involved. I have a beautiful wife. I have 2 loving children that I am a father to. I have a wife that I'm a husband to. And my parents were able to get their son back. And that's awesome. As many of you know, or some of you know, my mother passed away March of this year. And she loved the Kanawha Valley Fellowship Home more than probably anything, because for the last 6.5 years or so, before she passed, she got to be a mother again. She got to have her little boy back. We got to have a good relationship. I was able to be there for her. I was able to be there for her as going into the hospital, which was completely unexpected. We weren't expecting her not to come out. But when I look at the whole situation as it was, I couldn't have asked for it to be any better. Because again, for 6.5 years, she got to see her little boy recover. My father has got to be a father to his wayward son. I've gotten my life back. I could just go on and on about the gifts that I've been given. One of the other things that I've been able to do is I enrolled for a graduate degree at the University of Charleston. And I'm proud to say that I'm working on getting my graduate degree in strategic leadership with a specialization in business management. I have a really awesome job today. I have a lot of awesome friends in my life. It's an absolute honor to be part of the fellowship home. It's a privilege to say that I have stayed there, that you have helped me, and I am very grateful for everything that you are doing and continue to do in my life as well as other men's lives.